Nate, it's harvest time, and this is the Devil's Hunt. Nate, this week we took a look at Devil's Hunt. Now this game is a beat-em-up, third-person action fighting game. So it's got a little bit of an RPG twist to it, a big action movie kind of twist to it.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the story, getting into it?
So honestly, the story is what kind of kept me going forward. There's a couple times in the story where it kind of maybe skipped a little, or was just kind of like a cheesy movie, we'll call it.
Started off very strong.
But yes, it starts off strong, and it's kind of about revenge and about it. Well, not to spoil too much, but it's about you making a deal with the devil.
Yeah, and
that's kind of what really drew me in, is that whole part, and your guy becoming, really.
Well, I feel for him. And then he gets kind of his redemption. That's the wrong word. He gets his revenge.
Yeah.
And then I really like the character that we have here. So this story, it throws you. You quickly find yourself in the depths of hell, and then you get a deal to get back. And there's only one way you can go back to Earth, and that is if you are one of the devil's disciples. And that's kind of leads to the action of the game, where you're coming out of hell, you're coming back to Earth. There's a lot of things you gotta kind of scores to settle. And then also within that, you're also dealing with these hellish beings and fighting with them, and not all of them like you. So it's a big mix for the story.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because your allies in the game are other demons or disciples, but the whole idea is that you're supposed to hate them because hell's all about hatred. So they state it right in the game. You don't have any real allies.
They're not. They might be on your team, but they're not your friends.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool. I really like that kind of touch on the game. But honestly, the combat, man, that's kind of where this game. I don't want to say it falters necessarily, but it's just not its strong point.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing. So the combat is a little bit basic. There's only so many enemies that you can fight against, and even though they kind of cosmetically change a little bit, they're not very different. They're kind of just
like within even the first 6-7 chapters, you only fight, maybe like 6 or 7 different types of mooks. But
you get a couple different boss fights in there, though.
The boss
that's
fights
where
are fun.
The game really challenges you. Now I was playing on hard, and I was hitting a wall many times. I was having a difficult time with this game, but they have the devil mode, so you punch everybody in the room, you get all this power, you use that to be demon form, and that's where you just clean house.
Oh yeah, and that's the boss killer right there, and it looks cool, man. When you get into that mode, your guy just turns into a full kind of demon knight-looking thing, and then just full-on punch fury.
Kind of like a cyber demon, actually. Yeah. It gets brutal.
But so the moves with the whole RPG system, there's not a lot. It's not very diverse. It's kind of lots of moves that you've seen in most of these kind of games, like a ground pound, or like this attack where you
like a wave throw thing. Yeah.
So that's kind of where, again, this game doesn't excite me like other games.
Yeah. Now further in, you get a couple different skills. You can kind of mix and match. You don't have to choose the same 3.
Yes.
And you get a couple different skill trees to grow in and get better and better kind of combos. And you can kind of switch on the fly to change what those combos are. But the combos are very basic. They're only ever just click, left click, right click, 2 left clicks, 2 right clicks. It's all very basic.
In the controller's case, which I used for the most part, was bumper and trigger.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's a good thing. The controls on the game, I found both on the keyboard and mouse and controller, both fitting, no problems.
Now, I was on keyboard and I remapped some of my keys.
Oh, you did?
Now, that worked fine. Everything was okay there, but I ended up making lock-on one of my abilities too, and I didn't realize that off the start. So the lock-on was very weird, and I want to touch back on that lock-on too. But it just, there was also, every time I went to go deflect an enemy, like parry an attack or execute an enemy, it would show the wrong keypad still. So even though I've remapped the keyboard, it showed me the wrong keys. So that was something I just had to get used to and get over with. But that was a little weird.
That's a minor thing that hopefully might get fixed within time.
Yeah, hopefully. But who knows?
You're not alive. You're not.
Another issue, dude, that I had with this game is the lock-on camera, man.
Yeah.
Right at, from the get-go, it puts you on an angle, especially when you're in a boss fight. And this angle that I don't understand.
Weird worm's eye view, yeah.
Exactly. Like instead of going top kind of over like this, it's like this.
Now, there's
and
only...
it takes away because you need to lock on to punch and do your move.
It's hard. It gets messy when you're trying to do it without lock on. I only found that useful one time, and that is in a boss fight where the guy disappears and he goes up to the top rings and he shoots lasers back on you. The only time it's ever been beneficial to be looking way up into the sky was so that I could see him in the background aiming at me. But that was the only time, and that couldn't really be the purpose of the camera, is it?
I don't know, man. Like I don't think it's for one fight. They just that was kind of a little bit of an oversight in my opinion. And when you're fighting regular mooks, it's just not great. There's not a great camera work in this game. I kind of find it could have been better.
I think other games have kind of done other things to have dynamic cameras and kind of action sequences that, you know, it may be expecting it and it might get kind of dry to repeat the same maneuvers over and over. But at least if you had that cinematic camera, it would make it a lot more exciting. So one thing that kind of is confusing to me is that the graphics of this game seems to change depending on what part of the game you're in or what the sequences are. There are some cinematics that were really, really good and really lifelike, but then there was other action parts that were just out of 360. It was really weird.
Yeah, I definitely found the consistency lacking at times. So the audio in this game, dude, it's not necessarily amazing, but it's not necessarily bad. It complements it when the gameplay when it needs to.
Yeah,
it's kind of just your generic. You know.
It'll be generic kind of background stuff. The menu music's okay, and then the boss fights, it'll kind of lend itself to the action. Yeah, but other than that, not a big standout. Voice acting was nice though.
Yeah, the voice acting definitely is, like again, the story, that's where this game shines. It's some of the voices or some of the characters that you encounter are pretty either scary or just funny.
So with Devil's Hunt, we jumped in and we had a pretty decent time going about this game. Now, I think a lot of the things that make this game special are not super focused on, and some of the things that are really focused on, I feel like some of the other games in this genre kind of do it better in certain regards. Yeah, so for me, all things considered, I'm in there with a 6 for this game.
Okay, man, I'm a little bit higher than you. I appreciated the cutscenes a little more, and graphically, it just sometimes it really kind of shocked me for being not this AAA $90 price game. So I'm there with a 6.5.
You are weak and arrogant child who cannot even fill the role of
Devil's Hunt is a great, revenge-packed, action-filled beat-em-up game that has some really great features. The combat is not very complex and is generic in a lot of ways. The abilities you unlock, we've already seen in other games as well in this genre. But being able to transform into an invulnerable demon really does help make up for it. The darkness of the story and the overall quality of the voice acting really drive the game forward, making you want to go and wreak havoc in and out of hell.
You watched that video. Now if you enjoyed it, give us a like, head on down to the channel, and give us a subscribe.